My dear brothers and sisters, it happened on a remote island in the Malay archipelago. It happened. The year was 1858. Alfred Russel Wallace, a botanist, was suffering from an attack of malaria. Feverish in his delirium, suddenly he saw it. There it was, a vast panorama unfolded for him. The most primitive species, an amoeba or a protozoa, gradually evolving during millions of eons of time into sea creatures, birds, the land animals, the guiding mechanism being the survival of the fittest. Between bouts of fever, Wallace gathered sufficient strength and wrote a detailed essay explaining his theory and sent it together with a covering letter to Charles Darwin, who he knew from correspondence was interested in the subject of evolution. This was essentially the same theory that Darwin had been ruminating on for 20 years or so, but never got around to publishing as he continued to collect evidence. Wallace's letter prodded Darwin to rush out his famous book the following year, in part to avoid being scooped by Wallace. Darwin panicked upon receiving Wallace's letter, writing privately that his life's work was smashed. A couple of his distinguished friends, geologist Charles Lyell and botanist Thomas Hooker, came to the rescue, quickly organizing a joint presentation to the Linnean Society of London on July 1st, 1858, of an unpublished letter and a manuscript by Mr. Darwin on natural selection, together with Wallace's letter. This was indeed a singular event in the history of ideas. Yet Wallace's concept of evolution was deeper and more profound. Darwin claims that all biological life can be explained through a directionless process of survival of the fittest and random mutation. That all living things, including man, have arisen by chance. And this notion that we're the product of randomness of chance has dominated thought for the last 163 years. It appears to explain design without a designer. New forms of life arise from a purely undirected mechanical process. Attributes to an organism only develop when they accord the organism a survival advantage. Wallace, on the other hand, suggests that there are areas of the biological world beyond the scope of natural selection's operations, and some purposeful intelligence must be called upon to explain their existence. For example, Wallace reasons that man's intellect, his reason, his artistic ability, his musical ability, his wit, his talent, and most important of all, his moral sense, his sense of kindness, compassion, honesty, and integrity cannot be explained by the Darwinian mechanism of survival of the fittest and random mutation. Rather, this must be caused by an intelligence that guided evolution. Wallace insisted that man's mind was created by a mind. In place of the primitive materialism of evolution, we have a natural world that is designed. Wallace enunciated intelligent evolution, that is evolution, as part of a designed and guided universe. Intelligent evolution, think of it. In 1910, at age 87, Wallace granted an interview to a reporter. It is a bold declaration for intelligent evolution. Whereas Darwin says nothing about the origin of life, nothing, Wallace postulates a definite act of creation, as he says. An honest, an honest and unswerving scrutiny of nature forces upon the mind this certain truth, that at some point of the Earth's history, there was an act of creation, a giving to the earth of something before which it had not possessed. And from that gift, the gift of life, has come the infinite and wonderful population of living forms. In reply to the question, but in any case, you believe that there is purpose in creation? Wallace replied, it meets me everywhere I turn. I cannot examine the smallest or the commonest living thing without finding myself uplifted and amazed by the miracle, by the beauty, the power, and the wisdom of its creation. Have you ever examined the feather of a bird? I almost think a feather is the masterpiece of nature. No man in the world could make such a thing, nor anything in the slightest degree resembling it. He goes on to say, the scales on the wing of a moth have no explanation in evolution. They belong to beauty. Arid beauty is a spiritual mystery. What is the origin of beauty? Evolution cannot explain. Why indeed are a butterfly, a deer, and an antelope beautiful? Then there is consciousness. According to Wallace, man is given a soul or spirit. He says, nothing in evolution can account for the soul of man, the difference between man and the other animals is unbridgeable. It seems to me that Wallace nicely summarizes his work when he says, "My contribution is made as a man of science, as a naturalist, as a man who studies his surroundings to see where he is. And the conclusion that I reach in my book is this, that everywhere, not here or there, but everywhere, and in the smallest operations of nature to which human observation has penetrated, there is purpose, continual guidance, and control." 3 recent scientific discoveries seem to confirm what Wallace is saying. First, there's the Big Bang. Mass, energy, space, and time came into existence a finite time ago. This implies that matter and energy do not seem to be good explanations for the origin of the universe. Clearly, matter and energy could not have caused themselves to come into existence before they themselves existed. So the Big Bang. And then there's fine-tuning. Stephen Meyer, in his Return of the God hypothesis, calls fine-tuning the discovery that the properties of the universe fall within extremely narrow ranges that turn out to be absolutely necessary for any conceivable form of life to exist. Fine-tuning. The third discovery is yet another stumbling block for evolution. The information in even the simplest cell. These are assembly instructions for building protein molecules and protein machines that cells need to survive. But where did all this coding, where did this information come from? Darwin is of no help here. Natural selection presupposes the existence of already living things and a mechanism of self-replication. It has nothing to say whatever about the origin of the information in even a single living cell, however simple. Chemistry and physics are of no help here either. Information always arises as a product of mind. Consciousness is the only known source of information. A hieroglyphic carved in stone, a Shakespeare sonnet, the coding in a computer program, all of these arise from consciousness. There is no other cause. Furthermore, instead of the gradual tree-like structure of evolving life postulated by Darwin, there have been sudden explosions of new life. The most dramatic occurred in the Cambrian epoch, beginning about 530 million years ago, when most major groups of animals first appeared in the fossil record. Later, many other explosions of new biological forms, the first insects, turtles, dinosaurs, sea reptiles, birds, flowering plants, mammals, and other major groups also appear abruptly. in the fossil record. In each case, building these new forms with their anatomical novelties required massive explosions of new genetic information. Where did the information come from? Who wrote the computer code? Rather ironic, would you not say? The co-discoverer of evolution, of random variation and natural selection, came to see that neither matter nor energy, but consciousness is the fundament. As he said, everywhere. Not here and there, but everywhere. And in the smallest operations of nature to which human observation has penetrated, there is purpose and a continual guidance and control. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for allowing me to share some thoughts with you. As always, your comments and criticisms are welcome indeed. Thank you. Let us go forward.